2, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome to the Bearded Mystic podcast, and today I'm joined by some great esteemed guests that will be teaching us about Sanatana Dharma. So today is a new roundtable discussion which is titled Sanatana Dharma, Learning from Different Traditions. So I have here today Shivaji, Brahmananji, Nimai Liam, Edwin G, and obviously myself, Rahul. And I'm going to ask each of the participants to briefly, just in 1 or 2 sentences, give their tradition they follow, the lineage, and just for 1-2 minutes, then we'll get into the questions. So if Shiva, if you can please speak.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Shiva Kailash Shambho. I'm 28 years old. The tradition that I originally follow is the Theravada Buddhist tradition, the way of the elders. And currently I'm in India following Shiva's way and pursuing Hinduism and going on this pilgrimage.
Thank you. Brahmananji?
Jai Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. My name's Aaron Joy. I'm a musician and a writer, and last year I was granted the spiritual name Premanandas Bhagat by the head of a temple outside of Phoenix of the Swaminarayan tradition. So I align myself with Swaminarayan and through him, through Ramanuja Acharya. So,
Thank you. Nimai?
Hare Krishna. So, I belong to the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, who is one of the branch of Vaishnavism, who's been broadcasted in the West by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada in the early 60s. So our branch is called the ISKM, International Shri Krishna Mandir, which is we can say a branch of ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So this is where we are serving Lord Krishna in Bhakti Yoga.
Thank you. Liam?
Hello, I am a 22-year-old Canadian man, and after studying mathematics in university, I kind of had a spiritual awakening, which led me to various different branches of Buddhism and Hinduism and the Sanatana Dharma in general. And I have a hard time labeling myself with any tradition. I don't have a guru that I follow, but I would very much be honored to have one day. But I feel pulled between Shaktiism, Shaivism, and as well as Vaishnavism especially. And my Ishta Devata is Radha Krishna.
Thank you, Liam. Edwin G?
Namaste. My name is Edwin Walker. My story is long, but I will shorten it. I am a Shaivite Advaita Hindu, initiated as a Shaivite Hindu into my guru's sampradaya, His Divine Holiness, Paramahamsa Nithyananda.
Thank you, Edwin.
And
sir, go on.
There's much more, but that's how I'll just keep it short.
Thank
but
you.
I'm an initiated practicing Hindu. So.
Thank you. And I'm Rahul, and I follow Advaita Vedanta. That's the main philosophy that I enjoy studying and following. So, welcome to all of you. Thank you for taking out the time to be here today. And, I really appreciate, I know all of you are in different time zones, so I greatly appreciate it. And we'll start with the first question. And that is, what is the essence of bhakti or devotion in spiritual practice? And we'll start with Shivaji, and we'll go we follow the same order as before. Shivaji.
The essence of bhakti yoga to me is devotion, intensity of emotion, and burning yourself up through some object. It doesn't have to be a person or a deity. if you look at the stars, or if you look at a beautiful picture of the galaxy or the solar system, an intense wave of devotion comes towards you. So it's hard not to be devotional. It's just channeling it the right way and burning yourself up.
Nice, thank you.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to tell a story. I have a friend of 20-something years, best friend, very intellectual guy. This is a lifelong Christian who can quote G.K. Chesterton and C.S. Lewis like he's read every book and memorized them. Very smart guy. And I hadn't seen him in about a year because I'd moved away from town. And I'd come back, and this is like pre-internet, so we'd really lost some contact. So I'm talking to him, and he says to me, "I'm not going to church anymore." I went, "Okay, fine." And he goes, "Yeah, I feel bad about that." And I go, "Well, okay." I wasn't going, and I didn't, on one hand, it's not my thing, but I'm curious. And so I kind of pushed him, and I said, "Well, what's the problem? You're in your 40s. You've been going all your life, and now you stopped." And he said to me something I never forgot, because for him, this was a moment of real insight. He said, "I don't feel anything when I go. I read books and I love the information, but I don't have any feelings. I don't have any love. I don't even know if I believe. The music's good and the coffee is good, but I have no emotional connection, and I realize this, and so I don't go anymore." I thought that was very, very profound. And actually, 20 years later, he still doesn't go. And so I've always remembered that in my own practice, because for me, that's sort of the essence of bhakti is what's inside. It's not just our heads, it's our feeling, it's our motivation. It's that indescribable thing like love or something. You can't really touch it and describe it, but it's just there. And without it, it's just a dramatic, it's like reading a book you don't like, So that's kind of how I explain it.
Thank you. Nimai-ji?
Okay, so thank you for having me. So first thing is that we are trained up to not speak according to our own whims, but to speak according to Shastra, the scriptures. Because what is Sanatan Dharma if it's not based on Vedic scriptures? I can be speculating, I can say something, and you don't know whether what I'm saying is right or not. So therefore, especially in our ISKM, or even in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada spread this essence of Sanatana Dharma that he called Krishna consciousness by quoting Vedic literature. So in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 16th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Ya Shastra Vidhim Utsrajya Vartate Karma Karataha Na Sasiddhim Avatnoti Na Siddhim Na Param Gatim Na Sukham Na Param Gatim. So one who gives up the injunction of the scriptures cannot attain perfection. Na Sasiddhim Avatnoti. He cannot attain Siddhi. Na Sukham Na Param Gatim. He cannot attain Sukham, so happiness, and Param Gatim, the supreme abode, the supreme destination. So here's a verse that was that is from the Narada Pancharatra that describes bhakti. So here it is. I'll be sharing. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparadvena nirmalam rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. So bhakti, devotional service. Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord. So it is a personal thing. There's no question of love without two person. I cannot love my chair, I love a piece of wood. Love is something that there is the beloved, there's the lover, and there's the exchange of love. So bhakti encompasses all of this. Now, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all the senses. So the master of all senses, this is the word here, Rishikesha. So the one who, Rishikesha here, the master of all senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two sides effect. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. So if you see here in the original Sanskrit, sarva upadi. Sarva upadi means an identification. I'm white, I'm black, I'm woman, I'm man, I'm Hindu, I'm Christian, I'm Muslim. So vinirmuktam, all of this will disappear. Then tatparadvena nirmalam. So there will be also, the only sole purpose will be to serve. There will be not exchange. It's not that I serve you. Just like in all kinds of faith, we have different prayers that we go to God for some material benefit, like God give us our daily bread, asking for something, or Shubham Dehi, asking for wealth and knowledge and all. But real devotional service means it must be unmotivated and uninterrupted. So I will stop sharing the screen here, but as you can see, this is a verse that defines bhakti. And another place in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto and the second chapter, it is said that bhakti must be unmotivated and uninterrupted. That is pure devotional service, which means that it should not be on any, to say, I love you if this and that. In this material world, I will love my wife as long as she reciprocates like that. She will love me as long as I reciprocate like that. So that is not love. Love is unconditional. It is eternal. It can never be ended. And unmotivated. So unmotivated means this, that I don't have a personal motivation in it. That you can love me back or not, that is up to you, my Lord. But I will continue to love you. And it should not be checked by any material condition. Not that now I'm in trouble, I cry and I go away from you. No, it should be just like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was put into all difficulties by his father Hiranyakashipu. Yet, despite all of this, he never blamed. He never said that, now I don't love you, my Lord, because I'm being put in so many difficulties. No, still you are my Lord. Even if you kill me, you are my Lord. Same things with the Pandavas. Krishna was right next to them. They never blamed him, for being put into the forest and so on. Still, they continued accepting him as their lovable object. So that's it. So bhakti means the devotee and the Lord and the relationship with them. And to understand the science of bhakti, the Bhagavad Purana is there. Amalam Puranam, spotless Purana. It's only about Krishna or the Lord, his devotees, and the devotional activities. So if one wants to understand, he should study the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's my short answer. Not my answer. That is from Shastra.
Thank you. Liam Ji?
I love what Nimai Prabhu says. I think it is so important to cite from scripture. And I think I forgot to mention in my introduction that I am just honored to be here, by the way. I feel surrounded by such esteemed guests, and I am but nobody. I believe in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 46th verse that to one who has experienced liberation, even the Vedas have so much use as a small reservoir of water when there is a flood around. And to me, this flood around is the essence of bhakti itself, that there is this prem ras, this loving divine essence that fills everything. It's a very practical thing to have love for the source, because that source is what has become manifest as this Maya, as well as the jivas and the Yoga Maya, which separates it all. To me, having bhakti, having loving devotion, that is like watering the roots of a tree, rather than watering each leaf one by one, because you don't need to water each leaf when there is an intelligent system that distributes the water to each twig, to each leaf. Likewise, there is an intelligent system that distributes love to everywhere it needs to go just by giving that love to the source of all things, which in Bhagavad Gita is called Krishna. In other traditions, it is called different things. But that Brahman from which all this material existence has unveiled itself from, there is this essence of devotion which imbues one's life with a sense of duty, of importance, that we're here not just because we need something from the world, but because we need to give the world our love. And the divine has orchestrated this appearance of material objects as a test to see if we give that love to something temporary or something permanent that pervades it all. And it's something very difficult to describe for me because for most of my life I was a Nastika. I was an atheist. And then suddenly I started falling in love with the source of all things. And it imbued my life with such a sense of peace because in my darkest moments, when I was experiencing such unrelenting anxiety, the only thing which brought me from that pit of despair was taking the love that's already inside me and then spreading it outward, sharing it, giving without a sense of receiving anything in return. Because if we work from this assumption that we are a source of love, then this means that we do not need anything in return from anywhere else. It very much implies that everything that we need is inside us. It just needs to become expressed in this lila, this divine play.
Thank you. Edwin G?
So I worked on this last night on all these questions, and having done my own research, and this is based off of my own research of the Shastras and the Vedas, and trying to distill it down, I came to what the essence of bhakti and spiritual practice is that it facilitates the entanglement process where you take on the energy of the state that you're working with, whether it's the deva, the murti, or the guru, and you're mirroring that higher state. It facilitates the spiritual processes and transformations and increases receptivity of the individual with bhakti. And it gives you perseverance and a drive of fulfillment. That's what I came and distilled when explaining what the essence of bhakti is.
Thank you, Edwin. And
so just to wrap that up really quickly, just saying that, like, for me, an example of this is like my Ishana Devata is Kalabhairava, and which I don't know if most of you may know, is the ferocious aspect of Lord Shiva. And I would say that through my bhakti to Kalabhairava, it is the ferociousness that I receive when defending Sanatana Dharma and digging deeper and being ferocious with myself, not just others, and digging deeper and being more in tune and devoted with my bhakti.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. My 2 cents really, if I had to look at what the essence of devotion is in spiritual practice, for me it's about removing the individual me that I've named and that I believe has a form, and understanding that really the only thing that truly exists is this formless one, this, whether it's Krishna, whatever our Ishtevta is, that is the only thing. And when we go from me, mine, or I to you, it brings, I think that's what bhakti does. And one thing I was just reminded about is that having devotion is one thing, but when you add Brahma Bhakti to it, when you add Brahm love to it, it has a whole different feel to it, and that love is about union. So that's how it becomes a yoga. That's how it really becomes a union. And I feel that when we can have that oneness, that's what bhakti truly brings. And I think without bhakti, spiritual practice is definitely dry. I mean, you can read the scriptures, you can do karma yoga, you can do meditation, but I feel that devotion is such an important integrating aspect where divinity can be felt, experienced, and really enjoyed. And that's why I find Satchitananda, the true meaning of that, comes in play. is that when you truly find that the Lord is in all of existence and that it is purely conscious, it's fully alive, and it gives nothing but bliss. And that's what I find is the essence of bhakti. Before we go to the next question, if there's anyone that wants to add anything or to maybe just spark a discussion, I'm more than happy to have that occur. Otherwise, we can move to the next question. Okay, I think we can move to the next question. That's good. So this is a personal one to you all, but you do also have people that follow you on social media. So this is an important one, in my opinion. That how can one cultivate bhakti in daily life? So we'll start again with Shivaji, and we'll move forward likewise.
How can one cultivate bhakti in daily life? You have to look forward to something and also look up to something. That's very easy to do because there are lots of wise masters living currently on the planet and also have lived. Pick up a book on the Buddha's teachings or any sage or master that has ever lived and read. And it's very easy to get this emotion cultivated because of the enormity of this life, the enormity of all of creation. It's overwhelming.
So for me, that is such a simple question on the surface, but I found myself like dreaming about it. It was just like, whoa, this person says this and this person says that. My tradition of Swaminarayan, a friend of mine actually published a book last year listing all the things you should do to do bhakti, like a ton of things. But I finally came to my personal feeling on it. And I'm actually going to reference this huge piece of furniture behind me, my bass. I'm a rockabilly bass player. And the way I've achieved that is by practicing every day a little bit and learning and reading books and studying and failing sometimes and sounding really stupid sometimes. And right now I'm like talking to a friend about doing a Johnny Cash thing. And I thought of the music and I'm like, well, that's not so different than my religious life. I read the books, I practice, I do stuff. And I think when I look at people around me, not necessarily you guys, but just people I speak to or at work, I think a lot of people are like, well, if you just think about God once in a while, that's good enough, right? Or if you just read a self-help book once a year, isn't that good enough? Well, if I only practiced my bass once a year, I wouldn't be a very good bass player. So you have to do things regularly. You have to work at it, like learning how to read when we're in school. You don't just read one book and come out the top student. So for me, bhakti and in essence, cultivating it on a daily life it's work, but it's play and it's something you do, but it is something that you do have to do regularly to find anything. So that I actually want to refer to Edwin Prabhu, something you just said that caught my ear. You said ferocious with myself, and I'll just end with this thought. I really like that, Edwin. I thought that was really cool, and I wrote it down because I think that's part of the work you have to do. You have to be ferocious with yourself. You have to be honest. You have to be self-aware, because if you're not going to get anywhere. When I play my bass, I have to go, yeah, I'm not in tune right now, or I've got the wrong, I got to work on this. I have to be ferocious and I have to learn and I have to work. And for me, that's kind of how we get there. And that is how we cultivate it on a daily basis. So there you go.
Thank you. Nimai.
So I don't know if it's my turn, but I'd like to go last, actually. I'd like to hear what everybody's perspective is before speaking, if that's all right.
Sure, Liam G. You're on mute, brother.
Thank you. I reminded of the Kali Santanarana Upanishad, which of course every Hare Krishna will know, describes that the one way to cross the ocean of Maya in this age of Kali is to chant the 16 names of Narayan. And I think to almost anybody who is not familiar with this kind of philosophy before will wonder what exactly it means to achieve the ultimate liberation simply by chanting some name of some ancient deity of some strange mythology, but it's so much more than that. Because what it means to chant the holy name, well, of course, to us, we use names as labels to identify each other. But a holy name is but a description of some aspect of that source being what is infinite, and thus we are describing some potential of that source. We are embracing the glory of that possibility. Like, for instance, I have heard described Krishna, which means the all-attractive one, or even more expansively, the one whom forcibly attracts the minds of all Paramahansas. Rama meaning the one in whom all Paramahansas dwell, and Ari meaning the one whom attracts the heart, steals the hearts of all Paramahansas. Well, these are great properties. These are great qualities of that source. Thus, like a child who is engaged and looking at the wonder and appreciation of the world around them, they just dissolve themselves into it simply by contemplating on some aspect of the infinite. Like in math class, nobody is particularly interested in how many watermelons can Susie buy if they're this much a pop and she has how much money. People are interested in the esoteric, the abstract, the infinite. They're interested in how pi, being irrational, has infinite digits that never repeat, that you could possibly, if it's a normal number, so-called, you could find your birth date, your death date, your phone number, any possible combination of digits could be there in theory, and people get lost in this idea of infinity, of something which is beyond anything that the finite can describe or fathom. Thus, there is a practicality in simply letting go of what we can know with our limited material intellects and bring our hearts to something which is beyond our comprehension. This is what it takes to be a happy child and what it takes to be a happy adult too, if we just dissolve ourselves in that wonder. And I think wonder describes the ultimate well.
Thank you. Edwin G.
Well, I really thought about this, and I felt a more simple, direct approach really would be the one way to go. And how I explain it to myself and how I explain it to others is the more sadhana that you do in your daily life, the more you can cultivate bhakti. Doing like japa and vandanam will build bhakti. Even more than that, puja builds bhakti. But I would say it's the way that you go about doing it. So not going through the motions, and that's the real thing that people have gotten to, is where they go with the motions, but they don't know why they're doing it. Or they go with the motions and they have no feeling connection to that murti or that guru who they're doing the japas or they're doing the sadhana or they're doing the puja, and there's no understanding of the deeper meanings behind that or any of that connection that you would get with, Bhagwan. And so I'll just simplify it and say that.
Thank you, Edwin G. Before we go to Nimai, I'll just give my 2 cents. For me, the way I cultivate bhakti in my daily life is, one is to have satsang, so to be in the holy company of not just one's guru or the deity or the Ishtevta, but also with the scriptures. So there's a daily practice of reading, and then obviously with the formless one that I worship. So having that satsang is very important, and just meeting like-minded people. Like today, I think is a satsang. We're discussing spirituality, and we're learning from each other. Then the other one is obviously serving others. You see, when you can serve others without wanting anything in return, having that seva bhav, that intention just to serve selflessly, that also cultivates bhakti. And the one that's probably the most important one for me is having that remembrance of the Lord, and having that intimacy of remembrance, and constantly, as much as possible, with every breath, just remembering, what is truly here and now, what is truly accessible, and that is this formless one. So that's my answer. Nimeji, over to you.
Yes, thank you. All right. So in the previous question, so the essence of bhakti, there's Lyam Ji who quoted the Kali Santarana actually so he quoted the Kali Santarana Upanishad now, and previously he gave the example of the root of the tree. That is very nice. This verse actually is there in the Bhagavad Purana. So it is in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31, Text 14. So I'd just like to share here. So as we can see, the Sanskrit here. So as pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, this translation here, Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is the word Bhagavan in Sanskrit. It is translated as such. Through devotional service, automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. So, Liamji mentioned the root, but so that should be the quest, if we want to know what's going on in our life, we should know what is the root. Actually, every great man of science or philosophers is trying to find the root cause of this cosmic manifestation, whether they be atheistic or believers. They're trying to find out what is the cause. And this is how Vedanta Sutra starts. Atato Brahma Jinyasa. Now is the time to inquire about Brahman, the absolute. So what is the nature of that absolute? Is it a person? Is he impersonal? So we have got all different understanding of this. And why is this sort of confusion there, that the impersonal one or the personal one? So that is because actually the absolute truth can be understood into three features. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1-11, it is said, Vedanti tatpad vidas tadvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. So Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, these are the three features of the absolute truth. So, as you can see here, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti, Shabdete. So, learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. So, Brahman is the all-pervasive transcendence. He's the Supreme Lord who is situated everywhere. So he's not localized, he's all extensive. And Paramatma, he's localized, he's within the heart of every single living entity. Sarvascha aham hridisani vishnu mattasmiti jnanam mapohanam cha. 15:15 Bhagavad Gita. So the Lord says, I am situated in everyone's heart. Also 18:61 in Bhagavad Gita, he says, I am in everyone's heart, and I'm controlling the wandering of all living entities. So that is the localized aspect of the Lord. Where does knowledge come from? We're thinking about something and then we get some inspiration. So the Lord is within our heart and is giving this knowledge. And Bhagavan is the most intimate understanding of the absolute truth, because then we come to a person, we come to a personality who has got feelings, who has got emotions, who has got qualities. Just like Lianji said, that Krishna means the all attractive, like that. So he is known by his quality. So, of course, I'm not directly speaking about how to cultivate bhakti. I'll get to that. Just the point here that I'm making is that there's different understanding of this absolute truth. But what is the actually, which one is the root? Is the impersonal the root of the personal, or the personal the root of the? And that is actually answered in the Bhagavad Gita 7:22. The Lord says, "Avyaktam vyaktimapannam, manyate mam abudhayaha." For those who think that from the avyaktam, the vyaktim came, manyate mam abudhayaha, they are less intelligent. This is not my words. So.
Nimai, I can hardly hear you. I don't know if the mic is switched off or Zoom's took it off by any chance.
Hear me now? Or?
And they're still quite low.
Okay, how about now? Now I'm using the headset here. Is it better?
Perfect. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Excuse me for this. All right. So as I was saying, so I'll just show this quickly. Then you see this. This is chapter 7, verse 24. Avyaktam vyaktim apannam manyate mam abuddhayaha. Abuddhayaha means less intelligent. Parambhavam ajananto. They do not know my parambhavan. Mamavyayam anuttamam. So unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So basically, he is saying that we should not think that Krishna comes and assumes a form here only. His form is eternal. It is not that the impersonal is high and the personal is temporary only. And that is also, he says also in the fourth chapter, text 9, Janma karma chami divyam. Just like all of us here, we were forced to be born, is it not? I did not choose this body. I did not choose to be born as a white Canadian or as a male. But him he says, Janma karma chame divyam. You see? Evam yoveti tadvataha. So his janma and his karma are divyam. They're transcendental. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So I am just presenting how Krishna is saying that his personality is not like us, that he takes form when he comes here and he's impersonal before. And how to cultivate this bhakti? Well, Liam ji quoted the Kali Santarana Upanishad, which is very good, which I have here also. In this age, it is said that the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only way to spiritual advancement. Now one may say, why only way? Well, I'm quoting Shastra. This is not my speculation. This is Shrimad Bhagavatam 12:352. Whatever result one obtain in Satya Yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dvapara Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, that means deity worship, one can also obtain in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Of course, here the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is quoted because the Kali Santarana Upanishad here, it gives. I'm not going to read all this, I don't want to mind, but the Mahamantra is actually there, you see. It's not an invention. This is in the Kali Santana Upanishad, so one of our 108 Upanishad, and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is given. So this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So in this day and age, this chanting of Hare Krishna is the way to go. This is how we make genuine spiritual advancement. And just before I finish, I'll just show this one because we've said, what is bhakti, right? So there's different opinions and all, but specifically, like clear cut, what are the activities of bhakti? Prahlad Maharaj has given in also the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is in the 7th canto, chapter 5, text 23 and 24. So here are the 9 processes of bhakti, clear cut given. Okay. So as you can see, the Sanskrit, Shri Prahlad Uvacha, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevayam Archanam Vannanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. So these are the processes. So hearing and chanting, these are 2 things. So when you hear, you listen someone speak Bhagavad Gita, or you chant the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, or you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is bhakti. about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia of Vishnu. It says Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. So if we chant about Vishnu or any of his incarnations, about his name or form, we are performing bhakti. That is bhakti. Then that is 2 already. So 3, remembering them. So if you think about the Lord, his activities, or how Krishna was crawling in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, or how Narasimhadev killed, like that. That is bhakti also. Serving the lotus feet of the Lord, that means Archana Vidhi, the deity worship. Offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord. So when you offer some prayers, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. So these are more advanced, but the most essential is Shravanam Kirtanam. So hearing and chanting about the Lord. And you've mentioned, Rahulji, that the satsanga is important. And yes, because without satsanga, this doesn't occur very nicely. How to hear and how to chant properly when you're not with others. Just like now we're listening, we're speaking. So hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam is going on. So that is that's it. So this is Bhakti Yoga, the 9 different processes. But in this age, Kali Santarana Upanishad stress the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So that would be my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone want to add anything? Yeah, please, Premananji.
If I may, I wanted to respond to something that Edwin Prabhu said. Yeah, I'm picking on you again. Sorry. Because this is something that's like a pet peeve on my channel a little bit. You said, talking about rituals and things or whatever, that some people don't know what they are doing. And I thought that was so interesting because I know in my own personal life and doing things and whatever, excuse me 1 second here, it's getting dark here. I used to do things and learn things. I'm like, well, why am I holding a candle? What is the meaning of this? And eventually I just didn't care because it had no, it was this thing, is why am I holding this notepad? It meant nothing to me. And eventually I just stopped doing them. And I see a lot of people around me who sort of like virtue signal, or they just do things. And I'm always encouraging folks to learn. And we're all very well educated here, but you know, that we may sometimes take for granted. And I encourage people to read the scriptures, even if you don't believe everything or you think they're whatever, read them anyways, to find out why. And I just, when you said that, Edwin Prabhu, I just was like, oh, that is so great. I remember, well, I'm currently reading all 108 Upanishads. And when I started this project, I'd only read, 20 or so. And then I began reading them, and suddenly there's a Upanishad going, this is why we wear tilak, or this is the meaning of when we wave incense, or AUM is this, this, and this, and it corresponds to this of the body or that of Sri Krishna. And it blew me away. I'm like, wow, I never thought that there was a meaning in waving incense. It was just something you're doing. And
it's a scientific process.
Yeah. And that just, it was like, wow. And I think a lot of people, they do things and they don't think. So I just wanted to bring attention to what you just said. I thought that was really cool. And I think that is a really important thing that is easily passed over. So that's all. My thoughts. Back
Thank
to you.
May I address that?
Yeah. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I would say that it goes much deeper than that, but very much so that this is something that I've witnessed myself, and it's something that I'll ask questions and they're like, because I was told to, and I'm like, no, you didn't read. What, you don't understand the methodology, the technique, why it's done that way. You haven't actually done the research. You're just doing it because someone told you to do it. No, please read. Like, don't just do it because you've been told to do it. Do it because you know why you're doing it. And through the knowledge, the jnana of knowing why you're doing it, that itself cultivates bhakti. you know, and that digs even deeper into the process.
Thank you. Yeah, I really like that. Gyan is necessary, I think, for bhakti to be fully utilized and understood, for sure, with the correct intention. Thank you. So we'll move to the next question, which is liberation or moksha possible in this day and age? It's a very interesting question, and we'll start with Shiva Ji.
Yes, absolutely. I believe it is. I know it is. From my own attainment and liberation, realization. I've been watching your previous shows, the last two, and I want to make a distinction here for everyone listening and watching, that enlightenment, there's a distinction between enlightenment and realization. Realization is what we're all heading towards. It's one singular thing. Once you realize, it's fixed. Can't go back. Enlightenment is a ongoing thing. You have to build light inside of yourself, and the more brightly you shine, it's a variable thing. They're just the technicalities of these spiritual things. And I'm fortunate to say this, and I'm very blessed to have met and also seen Sadhguru in person, 2019. When I say meet, I didn't meet him, I didn't say hi, but I met him very deeply. And I could see that he was enlightened, for sure. I didn't know what enlightenment looked like. I didn't know what it really was. I didn't realize anything at that time. But seeing that man walk on stage, the amount of light that he carried in his body, and how purified he was, his essence was shining through. The light of God was within him. I could tell that this man doesn't have anything inside of him. He's totally eradicated. Whatever he has, whatever other people have, what you call as an ego, is absolutely gone. What remains is just the light that's shining from the universe, or in the universe. So yes, enlightenment and liberation is absolutely possible in this day and age, and there's no reason why you shouldn't go after it. You must. It's the most important thing, the wisest thing you can do out there for yourselves. So please do that. Thank you,
Shivaji. And just to make sure we understand, it's Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudevji, right? That you're talking
Yes, Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudevji. Right.
Okay. Thank you. Brahmananji?
So I actually have a really simple answer for this. I'm going to reverse your question and go, why isn't it possible? Why not? Why? I think it's innate. It's like being smart. It's an innate thing. But what we tend to do is we build walls that keep us stupid or keep us unenlightened. But I think it's a very normal thing that could, if we believe in enlightenment, of course. I mean, maybe a Jewish person doesn't or whatever. So I think there's a little footnote that could be talked about here, but we'll leave that alone. But I think it's like, why not? And the only reason maybe someone might say, well, maybe one reason someone might say you can't be is because, oh, in 2024, the world is so bad and so many people are angry and there's this group and that group. I'm a historian, and I know when I look at, let's say, 1800s Gujarat, India, life was really bad there too. Or you look at France at the time, life was really bad. Or you go back 1,000 years ago, life has always been bad. There's always been good and bad forces. So anyone who uses that as an excuse, like right now it's worse than ever, is it really? Is it really worse than ever? So that's just an excuse. So if you get rid of your excuses, I then ask, well, why can't you? Why can't you be? I think you can. So that's kind of all I got to say on this one. I'm keeping it short.
Thank you, Premananji. Nimai ji?
Yes, so it never, as we know, we're on the Kali Yuga, but Kali Yuga simply means that the Rajaguna and Tamaguna are more prominent. That's all. In the beginning of the Bhagavatam, in the first canto, the first few verses, it is said that in this age of Kali, people are very much short-lived. We are unfortunate and we are bewildered. We're always harassed by so many difficulties. But this is all the effect of the external energy of the Lord. But the Lord says that if we surrender to Him, then He can lift up this veil. Because, we are not the one in control. I did not choose to be born. I was forced to be born. And it's the same thing with all living entities. Who would want to become like a pig who's about to be slaughtered? But within that pig, there is a soul. There's a spirit soul who experiences the body of a pig. Now, why is that? Now, who has put these laws into action? So there's Liamji who had quoted that verse from the Bhagavad Gita 246 that says that as all purposes can be served by a great reservoir of water, all the purpose of a small whale can be served by one who has access to a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So if I know what is the goal of the Vedas, then I do not need to go to every small individual well. You see, because Vedas is very, very broad. It is meant for the Aryans, those in the mode of ignorance, those in the mode of passion, those in the mode of goodness. That's why there seems to be so-called contradictions, because there's different mode of material nature. But if one understands that what is the goal of the Vedas, then he doesn't have to study independently every single aspect of it, because he will know what is the actual goal that needs to be achieved. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Vedascha sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krit vedavite vachaham. So he is to understand God, Krishna, is the goal of Vedic literature. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come Rasadev, and I'm the knower of the Vedas. So by all the Vedas, I'm to be known. So the whole idea, Vedascha sarvai ahameva vedyo. So to understand Him, that is the actual goal here. And now, can we become liberated? Yes, but not with our own whims. If I want to speculate, I'm not going to be liberated, because maya dyakshena prakritehi suyat charam hetunanena konteya jagad viparivartate. So Maya means by me. Krishna is speaking. He's saying Maya Adhyakshena. Adhyakshena means superintendence. So by my superintendent, it's not us who's doing all of this. Are we the one, calculating when the sun is going to set and when he's going to rise? This entire cosmic manifestation is moving not because of our walking or talking. So the Lord is saying this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So the Lord is above nature, but we are under. So what do we need to do? If you know the government, if you know like the president, and you're in jail, and the president comes to jail and say, all right, you get out, then you get out. Nobody can check you. But if you don't know the president and you try to fight with the warden of jail or whatever, you're not going to become liberated. It's not, you have to get the help of the Supreme Lord. Without His help, how we can do it? Not on our own terms, And therefore, he says also, Bhagavad Gita 7:14, he says, Daivi hiesha gunamai mama maya. Again, he says mama maya. It's his energy. So, sorry, here it is. Daivi hiesha gunamai mama maya duratyaya. What does duratyaya means? Duratyaya means very difficult to overcome. But then, mameva ye prapadyante. Prapadyante means surrender. Maya metam. They can overcome. So this divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So unless we surrender, we can stay here and speculate. We can say our own I think like that, I think like this. But practically speaking, if I'm genuinely trying to make spiritual advancement, and I'm not trying just to put on a show so that my friends think I'm cool or what, if I just want to really, generally, I have to feel reliefs from these things. Rajaguna and Tamaguna have to be lifted off. That is the sign that I'm making spiritual advancement. Rajaguna means what? Lust. Tamaguna means greed. So if I'm capable of being patient, even coffee, tea, cigarettes, wasting semen without the intention of procreating and having God-given children,
Meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. These are the 4 pillars of sinful life. Because Kali, the age of Kali, when Maharaj Parikshit saw Kali personified, he gave him this residence in these 4 places. So the age of Kali is acting through these 4 things. And you can see the whole world is in a mess because of that. Slaughterhouses. Why America is going down the drain now, and Europe and the whole world is having so many wars, because we're killing animals like anything, left, right, center. We're slaughtering them. It's very different how it was done in Vedic times and how it's done now. How before there used to be sacrifices, okay, Kshatriyas could go hunt and so on, but now we're suffering in this world because animal killing is going on full swing, especially the cow, isn't it? So this is and then intoxication. Who can argue that this is bad, right? All the drugs and all, even down to marijuana. I mean, I have grew up in Canada. I used to smoke ganja daily. I know what it is, but you don't need that. If you need that to realize God, then that is stronger than God. But no, you don't need that to make spiritual advancement. And then intoxication and illicit sex. If you can be freed from these 4 things, that means you are coming to the platform of Sattva Guna, which is the bridge where you can cross to the transcendental, Brahma Bhuta platform. So to keep it short, try to keep it short. This is it. So yes, it's possible, but not on our own strength, on the strength of the Lord, and that means following His guidance, His instructions. Thank you.
Thank you, Liam G.
The last time we were on here, I think I made this point that don't worry so much about enlightenment. Strive for something even higher than that, and that's bhakti. Speaking from the Swaminarayan tradition, I think in the Vachanamrut, Bhagwan Swaminarayan says that we should not be asking God for anything. We should assume that He has already given it to us, His attainment, that and the mark of an ekantik bhakta, a true and absolute devotee, should be that of one who feels, I have already attained God, because God is that which exists, and nothing else exists except for that source. So what more do you have to attain when you are already present here? Of course, we can work on our own vices and ignorance, continuously refine it, but that doesn't mean that at any moment we are ever separate from the divine. That a devotee does not even desire an attainment in a divine abode like Golok, Vaikunt, Shvetdweep, or whatever. They feel like if God is with me here, then God brings His abode here. And I feel like if you believe in this way, if you think in this way, if you let all of your actions and behaviors reflect this fact, then there is no selfish attainment that you have yet to achieve, because if you already are surrendered, associated with the divine, surrender meaning that we give up our mind, we give up our intellect, we form these things into a temple, an abode in and of themselves, then what is left for you? I think Srila Prabhupada also says, amplifies this point, that the holy names, they're not separate from God. People are always craving for darshan, darshan, darshan. We want to see God. Well, that's one way of experiencing the divine. But just by hearing the holy name, you are experiencing the very same divinity. You are experiencing darshan, not of sight, but of sound. In this way, if we assume ourselves to already be centered in the divine, then what more is there to attain? Some kind of liberation from this world, but then we'd be leaving everyone behind who is also in the midst of suffering, and well, they are also a part of the divine. Just as Nimai Prabhu mentioned the difference between, or the similarity, the unity of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. These form a logical chain of reasoning. That if we start with Brahman, which comes from the root Br, to expand, Brahman means the all-expansive one, that which is omnipresent, that which is non-dual within everything. Then that implies that anything which is already a part of that existence must have a part of that Brahman within them. And that includes you and I and all of the sentient beings, that there is a part of Brahman manifest through them. Therefore, they have something called Paramatma. They have a higher self, just as I have a limited sense of self with my limited body and mind and intellect. I am also a part of that ultimate reality, and therefore that part of me is my higher self, Paramatma. And if we can find those holy people who have, through miraculous birth or through the grace of Paramatma, been able to shed the lower self and have that Paramatma shine through brightly, then you are directly experiencing that Brahman in the form of Bhagavan, in a very personal form. And through satsang, association with this true Purush, then what more is there to attain? You have already attained it with the right kind of association.
Thank you. Edwin G?
So for me, I would say yes, absolutely. There are many more obstacles than there had been 1,000 years ago, in just new ways, inventive ways that we, as a human race, have developed to distract us in our daily lives, to give us more reasons to follow the Maya, right? To be attached rather than detached. But this does catapult many people to being more devoted and intense in their practice. And when it comes to, reaching liberation and moksha, I would say that those who, in my experience, it seems that it's spreading worldwide, in the sense of how those who are trying to reach those higher states of consciousness, and who didn't grow up in the ecosystem of Sanatana Dharma, and are very much propelled, even though they're surrounded by the distractions of the Western world, are very much focused and have a higher level of intensity at times. I'm not saying all of them, but there has been a notable surge of people who strive, of Hindus who were not born Hindu but became Hindu, right? And chose Sanatana Dharma, that they have this fire lit within them that is pushing them towards that. And yes, it is happening in India, but I see that there is much more of a I don't know the word for it, but you may understand what I'm saying. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Edwin G. Yeah, I mean, I think definitely liberation and moksha is absolutely possible in today's day and age, without a shadow of a doubt. I know that in the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, I think Guru Nanak Dev Ji talks about how this Kalyug is the best time for liberation, for moksha, for mukti. So, and we know that the Bhagavad Gita is literally a text, the Upanishads are texts which are made for mukti, for moksha, and that's what makes them so special, because it's there to take us out of the individual and understand that there really is only the Lord, or God, or Brahman, whatever name we want to give. So yes, I think it's possible. It's certainly, like Edwin G was implying, there are challenges today, probably more so. Back in the day, there wasn't TikTok that would be grabbing your attention, or Facebook, or 24-hour news cycles. It was possibly nice to be just in an ashram and just and having that little hut, and it was possibly easier. But again, the accessibility to these texts are, they're more accessible today than any other age. And where before it was only with the Brahmins, today it's with everyone. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. So because of these reasons, I think liberation and moksha is possible. One thing I will say is it's definitely easier if we have a guru, if we have a teacher who can guide us. I find that, not saying it's not possible otherwise, but having a guru or a lineage is definitely makes it a bit more easier in today's day and age to navigate that. So before we move to the next question, if anyone wants to add anything or ask someone a
Yes.
question.
So speaking about the age of Kali, being full of faults, so that is a fact. Practically Sanatan Varnashram Dharma, right? The institution of the social body of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas is practically, almost destroyed, right? Is only remnants are there in India. So, but there is one good thing, as you're saying, you were mentioning that in this age of Kali Yuga, something is good for liberation. So yes, but what is it? Here it is said, this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 3, Text 51. My dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. See, so in this day and age, this is really the way to go. And another verse from the Brihan Naradiya Purana, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama ve Kevalam, Kalau Nasti, Eva Naste, Eva Naste, Eva Gatiranyata. As you can see, this is said 3 times. Naste, Eva, Naste, Eva. So in this age of Kali, there's no other means for self-realization than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. So of course the Hare Krishna Mahantra is given in the Kali Santarana Upanishad, but any name of Lord Hari will do. But of course, as you say, one needs a guru. That's a fact. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tadvadarshinaha. So 4th chapter, 34th verse of Bhagavad Gita. We must go to guru, actually. Without guru, tasmad guru prapadyeta jignasu shreya uttamam. So the Vedas give us the impetus that Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta. Go and surrender to Guru. Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. Shreya, the highest welfare. You must be inquisitive about that. Not that you go see Guru, give me some gold, I have a back pain, help me. No, go see the doctor for that. If you go to Guru, you should know the highest. What is my position? Why I'm suffering in this material world? And how can I get out of this? What is the ultimate? So if we have got this desire, then we will seek a genuine guru. But if I just want to make a show, then there's 10 million people out there waiting, to cheat us. So, and another little point is that, yes, as Bhakta Liamji mentioned, it's a fact that, okay, Brahman is all present. We are all spirit soul. Okay, but where's my realization? That's important. Jnana and Vigyan. Jnana is simply theoretical knowledge. Vigyan means realization. One who has actually achieved, who is transcendental, then Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochati Nakanchati. Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. So 1854 Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta platform means Nasochati Nakanchati. Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu. He will, first of all, he will not desire anything at all. He will never lament. And Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu, he will see every single living entity equally. So not that he will, so you can see here the verse, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Nashochati Nakanchati, Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu, Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. So this is very important. One who is thus transcendently situated at one realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. So are we fully joyful, or we're just acting as if we are? Are we still crying sometimes because of things happening to us? Are we still becoming angry and, or are we just acting like it? He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. That's very important. It shows that bhakti is actually starts after mukti, because in that state, he attains pure devotional service to me. So real bhakti, not the sadhana bhakti, the one that in practice, but real devotional service is after Brahma Bhuta, because mad bhaktim labate param. So yes, okay, we can attain liberation, but not according to our own whims. In this stage, the most easiest process is Hare Krishna, and the Vedas say so. So why not just take it? And yes, we are Brahman, but the realization has to be there. Otherwise, we will have to continue to take a repetition of birth and death. Thank you.
Anyone else want to add anything? Okay. So the next question is kind of linking with what we just discussed, which is nice. Is a guru necessary? And if so, how can we recognize who is a qualified guru? So we'll start with Shivaji.
Is a guru necessary? Yes, absolutely. It is. And how can you recognize a guru? Well, you have to look and pay attention. I have a guru. His name is Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. Watch him on YouTube. Watch lots of YouTube videos by him, with him. And to me, a guru isn't a teacher. You can go to a teacher and he can tell you X, Y, and Z, and it's fine and good. But a guru is a person who wields a certain energy, like fire. And if this person or if this guru touches you with this energy, this fire, your whole life will get transformed instantaneously. So is it necessary? You could do this on your own. It just takes a remarkably, extraordinarily long time. That's not any of us. So yes, you must find a guru. You must find this energy that can transform you instantly, very quickly. And it's not just with Sadhguru, or it's not just with whoever you're paying attention to. It's, yes, there are many beings like this. Yes, so the difficulty is with reading texts, with reading books, it doesn't get you to the essence, because you're reading words. You have to really have such intense focus when you're reading the scriptures to be able to perceive something higher. That's very difficult. So might as well make it easy on yourself and go find a guru. This last thing I'll say here is that I was listening to your previous podcast, and this man, Guruji, he was saying that to find a guru is like a shortcut. And I absolutely agree. It's a fast track to enlightenment. If you can find this energy, and if you can get touched by this, that's it. It's all over.
Thank you. Premananji.
So you've asked a question which I talk about a lot on my YouTube channel. So I'm just going to do a shameless plug, just go over there. Because it's kind of a very personal thing to me. And I'll not make this too long, but I was a devotee, an official vow-taken devotee of the very controversial guru Adidam Samraj. Some of you may know him, and I followed him for 3 years, and I had a ceremony and everything, and then I just was like, screw you, and I was done. I couldn't do it. And we won't discuss that. You can see my YouTube channel. But I'd never had a guru, and I was in a point in my life where I was like doing this and that, and I had been practicing Zen in San Francisco, and I'd been sitting in cathedrals in Krakow, Poland, and I was living in Japan at the time, going to temples and Shinto temples and Buddhist temples and studying stuff. And I came to this feeling as like, I'm stuck. I'm literally stuck. I know everything and nothing. I've read 100 books and I don't know anything. And I felt like I needed a guru. And then Adidam appeared and just kind of was like, wow, I'd never felt anything like that in my life. And so is a guru necessary? I'm going to say yes, because a guru can get you from here to here. And you may not think that at the time. You may like, no, I don't need one, but trust me, it can be powerful. These days, I follow Sri Dharma Acharya of the International Sanatana Dharma Society, and he completely blew my mind apart and just was like, wow. And so, I really bow at his feet. He's amazing. But to the second question, who is a qualified guru? So I'm going to cite Sri Dharma Acharya, who often says that 98% of so-called spiritual gurus really aren't. And I'll go back to something Shiva Prabhu said about a guru has an energy about them and they change your life. And I think that's really an important thing, of finding someone who has a positive energy and not a bad one. and there's so much I could say, but I'm really just going to keep this short and just go one more point, and that is, I think we throw the word guru around willy-nilly, but we should differentiate between these spiritually profound gurus like Sadhguru or whoever, and then others who are just good people or good teachers. They're not necessarily enlightened God men or whatever. And I personally think we need to be careful of how we use the word. Like, not everyone's a guru. Some people just might be a teacher. They just might be a good person. That's just me, though. That's just from my personal experience of being burned. But yeah, I think they're important, but I think we also have to be careful. So yeah, I'm just going to end there. Otherwise, we'll be here for days on end. Just go to my YouTube channel. All right.
Thank you. Nimai-ji?
Okay, so yes, guru is necessary. Again, I'm not speaking on my own. I'm not giving you my own opinion. I will show you what Krishna says, because I mean, is there another authority? Bhagavad Gita is recognized as the sacred book, right? For those who know the value of life, the Aryans, those who want to who accept Vedic culture. So I find myself speechless if I cannot speak from the Shastra. So this is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 2. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession. So you can see him, evam parampara praptam. Okay. And the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in due course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So 5,000 years ago, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita again to revive this science, this disciplic succession. And a little later, he says, here, 434, are you seeing this verse here, 434?
Yes.
Is this what? Okay, yeah. So tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tadvadarshinaha. So just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively. So submission, this is very important in Vedic culture. Why the Brahmanachari training is there in Vedic culture? To all learn to be humble, to know that we are nothing, So this is important in spiritual life. If we do not have humility and we think we're big shots and we can understand everything, then it's not going to go well for us. Then render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So imparting knowledge, that is the main business of a spiritual master. And where does knowledge come from? Knowledge must be from the Vedas. We cannot manufacture knowledge. Otherwise, what is the distinction between Sanatana Dharma and the Western philosophers? Isn't it? Western philosophers are very much, they like the self mental speculation, But Vedic culture is very different. This is Bhagavatam 11.321. Tasmad gurum prapadyeta jignasu shreyautamam shabde parecha nishnanam brahmanyupa shamashrayam. So, therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of a bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusions of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. So here you have, you were asking the qualification. Here it is. He has realized the conclusion of the scriptures. So if one says, I don't study the Vedas, I don't study Sanskrit because I don't want to be studying the Vedas, I don't want to alternate my own thinking, I've never studied Bhagavad Gita, how he can be real guru? It doesn't matter. It's not about the amount of people that follow such a person. If you want the amount of people, then you go, go accept Beyonce as a guru, right? She's got more followers than any others. It's not about that. You have to see the quality. So has such guru, is he speaking on the strength of Shastra? Has he realized and is he capable of convincing others on the basis of Shastra? Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material consideration, should be understood to be bona fide spiritual masters. So they have surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Not that Krishna says something and I say something else. I go against Krishna. That is not guru. Guru is a proper representative of Bhagavan. If Krishna says something, for example, Krishna in 1865, he says, Man mana bhavan mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. You think about me, you offer obeisances to me. If I give a purport or I give a commentary, it's not to Krishna, the person, we have to bow down. It's to the inborn within Krishna. I try to twist the words like that. then how I'm guru? I have to repeat 10%. So if Krishna says surrender to me, then you can cross over my material energy, and I say, okay, you surrender to Krishna, then I'm representative of Krishna. But if I twist something and I change the words, I mean, it can be fun. I've got the ego trip going on, but it's not going to be any good, So, okay, that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Liamji?
Is a guru necessary? I don't know what I'm missing, but I want one. That's all I know. I feel the longing for one, and I feel like that comes from deep within. So from my own experience, I cannot tell you what a guru can give you because I have not received that from a guru. But I feel a deep longing for that experience, and I know that that's real to me. How do I know who is a qualified guru? I think we can use reasoning here that, well, etymologically, guru means that which is heavy, i.e., having a gravitas to it. And it's been used to describe that which has weight, but also to describe the gravitas of a person. And it has been mystically deconstructed as gu, meaning ignorance, and huru, meaning the dissolver of. So guru means the one who can dissolve your ignorance. So I think practically speaking, you can sit before someone, and do you find yourself going towards higher and higher things? And what does that mean? Well, practically, are you becoming more materially minded or spiritually minded? Are you becoming more impatient or more patient? Are you becoming more hateful or more compassionate? I mean, the latter of all these things are definitely traits of the source. Why? Well, because all the other traits are definitely traits of humans because they come from a limited acceptance, a limited understanding, a limited worldview. But if we can imagine if you were unlimited, then there's nothing stopping you from having total acceptance, total love, total patience, total compassion. All these things come from an unlimited sense of identity. So if by sitting before someone you feel like you are not going towards the opposite of these things, you're not becoming more ignorant, then clearly they are fulfilling the role of a guru, that which is dissolving your ignorance. I know that some people ask, well, if everyone had a guru, then what about the first guru? Didn't clearly the chain has to stop there, but as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the 4th chapter, I believe, that no, he taught it to Manu, the first person, through Vivasvan, the sun god. So there's still a disciplic succession, although it gets even more abstract if you go back in time. But the purpose is to initiate yourself into, well, not self-initiate, but be initiated into a lineage that stretches back to the source, so you can be connected with that one. But practically speaking, I'd say, look within yourself and ask, are you benefiting spiritually before the person, or do you find yourself engaging in more and more selfish behavior? I mean, that's a clear indication that whatever they're doing, it's not working for spiritual benefit. But on the contrary, if you notice that you are becoming just genuinely a more selfless person, and that your sense of limited self is being diminished over the love you have for the divine within everyone and everything, then that's a good sign that you are with someone that can benefit you. Whether you want to call that a guru, that's a technical term, I don't know.
Thank you. Edwin Ji?
I mean, based off of, I guess I could reflect this back and say necessary for what? Sanatana Dharma? Yes. There are definitely parts of Sanatana Dharma that require a guru explicitly, like Kundalini Yoga or Tantric practices. Some of the more advanced practices, you will always need a guru who knows how to guide you through those practices. And I find it very much, I have seen that there are many people who go, well, I don't need a guru. And I'm like, okay, but it's highly improbable you will reach your goals. It makes it that much harder without a guru. A guru, for example, if you want to go from US to India, and I just told you, walk. Well, you could get there. You'd walk, you swim, it would take forever, but you'd eventually get there. But if you had a plane, which symbolizing the guru, right? You would be there in no time with no struggle. Well, not to say no struggle, but it would be significantly easier to get to your destination with a guru, because he can show you what you cannot see from a higher perspective. There are many things that a guru will tell you to do that will not make sense to you in that moment. And you may be like, no, I don't understand. Why do I need to do this? You may be totally against it. You do it, later down the road, you figure out and you understand why you needed to do that. But the guru knew that all along. And so a guru is able to see it from that higher super consciousness perspective. I would also say that it is there's a cop out of a laziness and fear that keep a lot of people from seeking a guru. These are definitely patterns that have come from the media, that have come from Hollywood and Bollywood on portraying gurus as something bad. And there's a lot of fear of, oh, am I going to pick the right guru? Well, as for the right guru, I can just kind of point to the Shastras, right? Whether it's the Mimamsa Shastra, not Shastra, the Mimamsa, I'm obviously butchering it, but Mimamsa Sutras and Jnana Sutras, as well as the Vedanta Sutras and the Brahma Sutras talking about the 5 Pramanas. So if you're going to base a guru off of anything, basing it off the 5 Pramanas and what they say and what they do, that is the most true way of finding a more authentic guru, and one that aligns with what you're trying to seek. And yeah, I'll just put it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Edwin. I think a guru is necessary, definitely very helpful. And, how can you recognize one? And that's an important one, especially in today's landscape where, there's a guru on every corner of YouTube and or any other social media channel. But in the Guru Gita, it talks of, I think, 9 gurus, or 7 or 9 gurus, and the last one is the Paramguru, and the Paramguru is the highest one. Why is it the highest? Because it reveals Brahman to you directly, and it's only interested in the highest. It's not interested in anything else, even to the point of rituals or any of those things. It will not put that as the highest thing. It will say the knowledge of Brahman, or the knowledge of God, Brahm Gyan, that's the highest thing. So that's one way we can recognize a Param Guru. Obviously, Lord Shiva gives a number of other gurus that can help you. So, for example, with rituals, there's a guru that can help you that is specializing in that. But for liberation, that's the type of guru we want, who can give us Brahm Gyan. The one way, a few ways to know is that check if they've gone beyond desires, themselves. They're still not chasing desires of some sort. That they know the scriptures. it doesn't matter if you can quote them, but at least you should know the essence. Do they know the essence of the scriptures? And they just embody the teaching. So if they say something, their actions shouldn't contradict what they're talking about. And these things you can see really clearly. We are trained to have that discernment. So yeah, for me, those are the few notes that I made when it came to recognizing the highest guru. Not saying that the other gurus aren't necessary, but yeah. Edwin, I did see your hand up.
Yes, I would also slightly disagree on certain aspects of that when it comes to, if they're, maybe you did not mean it this way, but when you said that if they're doing something versus what they're saying, right? And I would say that and there are many examples of this where a guru will, and I know there's a story, and of course I'm not going to have it off the top of my head, but to generalize the story is the monk or the guru had his disciples, and they were traveling through an area sparse of water, and they came to a village. They asked for water. The guru drank. They said, "We don't have water. We only have alcohol." And the gurus are like, "Okay." And the disciples, shocked, were like, "All right, let's do it too." And they went on, and the guru was steady, didn't affect him, kept going, but his disciples were all over the road, drunk. And they get to another town, and there's a blacksmith. And the guru asks, "Do you have any water to drink?" And the blacksmith says, "No, I do not." The guru goes, pour me a glass, pour some of that molten iron into my mouth. I'm thirsty." And so both the blacksmith being shocked and the disciples, he goes, drinks the molten iron, and he turns to his disciples, go, "You want some? Do as I don't do." And he, of course, I'm not saying this right, but he progresses to say, "Don't do as I do as I say." So depending on the guru, don't always do what they do what they say, right? They may do something different, but they're doing it from a higher state, right? You are not at that place yet. They are guiding you to a space where you could eventually get to that if you take, if you take kava, or you do, you go through the spiritual practices to that level of whether it's liberation or moksha, and you get to that space. But doing kind of like, for example, taking people like, well, look at the scriptures, they did this and there, or Krishna did this, or Arjuna did this, or Shiva did this, and I go, are you a deva? Are you going to swallow a thing of poison and keep it in your throat? No. Don't do as they do. Do as they say. So there are many examples where people will want to take that and be like, well, because the guru's doing it, I can do it. But if the guru's not telling you to do it, then don't do it. There's a reason why the guru is doing it and you're not doing it.
Yes, thank you very much. So yes, this story actually, if my memory is good, this is actually Adi Shankaracharya who did that. So, and that is a fact. So it's a fact that we have to do what the guru says and not try to imitate. And that is nicely spoken also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Canto 10, chapter 33, verse 29 onwards. So it says, Shukadev Goswami said, the status of powerful controllers is not harmed by any apparently audacious transgression of morality we see in them. For they are just like fire, which devours everything fed into it and remains unpolluted. One who is not a great controller should never imitate the behavior of ruling personalities, even mentally. If out of foolishness an ordinary person does imitate such behavior, he will simply destroy himself, just as a person who is not Rudra would destroy himself if he tried to drink an ocean of poison. So just that's what he was speaking about, Edwin. Edwin G. And these verses are quoted just before the intimate pastimes of Lord Krishna, which are very much misunderstood. A lot of people jump to that, and a lot of low-class men actually use this example to, well, have mundane sex with young girls in India, you know. So therefore, these verses are there to put a stop to that, at least those who are intelligent. So I'd like to just give a little comment about Prabhu, you were saying, Rahul Prabhu, that a guru might know scriptures but not always quote them. So I had shown that verse from the Bhagavatam 11 canto that actually he should be well versed in the scriptures. That means he should be able to quote, because if he knows, then he can speak. And the other qualification of a guru is there in the Bhagavad Gita also. It is said, because there's two energy acting. There is the divine energy or spiritual energy, and there's material energy. So just like Liam was speaking about, you have to feel that you're going towards the divine energy, not the dark. Well, we have to know what that feels like. We have to know what it is, and who are these people. And he quoted then about Guru who gave knowledge to the original Guru. Well, that was also Arjuna's doubt. He was saying, well, you spoke to the sun god Krishna, but you know you're born recently, at least according to my calculation. So the personality of Godhead says, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivashvan, and Vivashvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So Krishna says he gave it, but then Arjuna's doubt is there. He's like, wait a second, you say you instructed to Vivashvan. So this is chapter 4, by the way, 4.2. So then this is the verse we've quoted. The science was received by the chain of disciplic succession. Then the Lord says, that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend. So this is important. In order to understand that, we have to be a devotee. We have to be a devotee of Krishna. And there's a verse in the 18th chapter. He said, those who are envious of me cannot understand that, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Rahasyam, the Sanskrit word. Rahasyam means it's a mystery. It's not easy to understand the goal of the Vedas. It's not for everyone. Arjuna then says, the sun god Vivashvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed the science to him? Then he says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. He doesn't say Shri Krishna Uvacha. When Vyasadeva writes about Arjuna, he says Arjuna Uvacha. But when Krishna speaks, he uses the word Bhagavan. Why? Because there's a distinction between Arjuna and Krishna. Bahune me vyat. I'll just read the translation. The personality of Godhead said, many, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. So immediately there's a distinction between those two entities here. Are we remembering our past births? Many births? No, I'm certainly not. And I know that, people do not. So, but Krishna can remember. So there's a distinction between his and ours. Although you can say Krishna is Brahman, we are also Brahman, but immediately then there's a forgetful Brahman and there's one who can remember. So the Lord says, although I'm unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I'm the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form, from his Atma Maya. So his appearance and disappearance is not like ours. Krishna does not come in this material world forced like we are. Then, of course, this famous verse, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya, I come to reestablish religion. So this is why he's speaking the Bhagavad Gita. He wants to reestablish the proper. Then Paritranaya Sadhunam, and then again to 4.9 that he says, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So it's Divyam. It's under the divine energy. So someone who represents Krishna's words, then he is a proper representative. But it's not, Tim, Tom, and Harry who know that. It's out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. This is 7.3. So Manushanam Sahasreshu, it's very rare. And then again, 7.19, he repeats the same thing almost. After many, many births and death, he who is actually knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So we're speaking about Guru. Guru is a great soul. So what is the symptom? He has surrendered. Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Samahatma Sudurlabha. So we must search such a person who is actually, genuinely in love with the Lord and who understands what the intricacies of bhakti. And then we can also have access into this realm. Okay,
Does anyone else want to add anything? Go on, Premanand.
Yeah, I wanted to. My
After
apologies,
you,
Premanand.
we'll go to Premanandji. Yeah.
I love that story that Edwin G relates about Adi Shankaracharya. To me, this also points out that a guru is really beyond all the gunas. That us, as long as we are identified with the material world, then we will be controlled, moved by Rajogun, Tamogun, Sattvagun. And a guru does not necessarily have to minimize these things in their life because they are beyond the gunas. They could be surrounded by Tamogun, but still be liberated from their effects. Whereas the disciples are actively trying to minimize the effects of tamas and rajas so that they can use the compelling force of sattva for spiritual purification. But a guru does not have to do this anymore. They do not have to. They no longer have to try to minimize these lower gunas. I think also Shivaji, he is quite literally the personification of tamas, but still he is revered as Brahman and Parabrahman within the Shaivite traditions. And there's a beautiful story of Parvati before she married him that people were asking, why do you look up to Shivaji, even though he is literally the abode of all negative qualities? And she said, well, if I am only attracted to what qualities they exemplify on the surface, then, how would I be devoted to the light that's within? I'm paraphrasing. But I think it's also important that when judging a guru, that we do not judge them simply based on what they engage in, but a deeper kind of feeling, which is perhaps difficult to put into words, but we see beyond their human form, you could say, beyond their Mayic appearance, and look for the appearance of Paramatma within them, which is beyond all the gunas, which are very much prevalent, especially in this age of Kali. I remember also a Himalayan yogi or yogini, she said that in Maya, your guru could be an alcoholic, but you'd never know the divinity that's within them, the peace. And that always stuck with me.
Thank you, Premanandji.
So I have to say something here, actually, that I disagree with the last bit, that the guru can be an alcoholic and he can be very advanced, because the guru, it's a fact, a genuine guru is transcendental. Just like Lord Shiva, he is transcendental, there's no doubt. Although he is the master of Tamoguna, still he is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. And Dhira, he gives the example of who is Dhira. When Parvati once was approached by the demigods in order to beget the son to lead the demigods, so she came and she touched his genitals while he was meditating, and he was not disturbed. Now, who can do this? So that is the point. He is transcendental, but a guru will act properly in order to guide the general populace. If he's a drunkard, then he will be creating havoc because people will follow in his footsteps. You see, so therefore, when one acts as a guru and a guru has to accept disciples, he need to show by example. He cannot act like whimsically. Therefore, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita in the 3rd chapter, he says, kings such as Janaka attain perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Then, O son of Prita, there's no work prescribed for me within all the 3 planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I'm engaged in prescribed duties. For if I fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties of Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. You see, and then he says that if he doesn't do that, all the worlds will be put into ruinations, because Krishna sets the primary example. When he came here, he acted as a grihasta, he had children and so on. He doesn't need to do that. But it's for the sake of teaching the people. So a guru, if he knows, not if he knows, a guru should know. He is enlightened. He knows that these four things, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex, they are bad for the conditioned soul. These are effects of tamoguna. And if one wants to get release, he has to be sinless. That's a fact. He has two things: take the medicine and practice avoiding sins. So the medicine is chanting Hare Krishna, and the practice, we should try to refrain from these four things. And the more we take the medicine, the more we'll be able to follow these four principles. So a guru has to follow these four principles. There's no, going around it. If he comes and he's an alcoholic, then everybody will say, well, I'm also beyond the three modes, and I'll just get drunk and all. So that's a very, very dangerous and misleading statement. Of course, Adi Shankaracharya, he showed he wanted to teach his disciples. So some little things are there, like Shiva Ji, he drank the ocean of milk, of poison. But as far as regulations is concerned, even Lord Shiva gives proper regulations to his disciples. So in this way, we have to be very careful with this point, because then it's called imitation. I'm not beyond the three mode, and I imitate someone beyond the three mode, and I will just self-destruct. Thank you very much.
Brahmananji, please.
Wow, I think you got a great question here. I actually want to return to something you said, Rahul, and was hinted on by Nimai Ji. You had said that a guru should know the scriptures. They don't have to quote them, but they should be familiar with them or know them. And that's something I say all the time. And that's like a big red flag for me. And I just had two thoughts I wanted to comment in response to that. So I told you before we started this that I worked in a law firm, and I work in the estate planning department of a law firm. And I work with two lawyers, and that's all we do is estate stuff and probate stuff in my little department. Would you come to me if you got in a drunk driving accident? Absolutely not, because we're not the person who knows the drunk driving regulations. Would you come to my lawyers if you wanted to sue your employer? No, because we'd be the last people to know what to do. And that's how we approach life. If I'm sick and my arm needs something, I don't go to my eye doctor, So why do we go to a guru who, let's say they're a Sanatana Dharma guru, but yet they don't know the scriptures? To me, that doesn't necessarily make sense. Or a guru who doesn't advocate reading the scriptures or knows nothing about them or doesn't care about them even. And I have seen gurus, they don't care, or seemingly don't care, probably because if you read the scriptures, you'd realize they were questionable gurus. But I just find it very uncomfortable to see these teachers saying, well, I'm part of this tradition, but yet don't touch the books that make the tradition. And I don't know anything about the books. Well, like I said, would you go to my estate planning lawyer to get your car accident taken care of? No, you wouldn't do anything like that. But yet we do this in these religious circles. And to me, that's just like a big pet peeve. I rant against that a lot. It's sort of a pet peeve of looking out for gurus who don't know the tradition they're supposed to be a part of, But, and this is my second comment, but there's a catch-22 to this. And I think of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Vivekananda's guru. I practiced for about a year in a temple in New York City, the first actual temple in New York City with that. And Ramakrishna was illiterate. He didn't read the scriptures. He knew of them, though. So I think it's really important that, yes, the guru knows the scriptures, as you say, but they don't have to quote them. They don't have to read every single one. They don't have to be completely 100% well-versed. I know my guru, Sri Dharmacharya, talks about how he's read everything, and he probably has, but that's a minority. But I think someone like Ramakrishna is also, he's a minority too. I think for the most part, we have to look for gurus who actually know their stuff. And along with what Nimai Prabhu just said, which is really good, they also walk their talk. So I just wanted to make note of what you said, Rahul. I think that was really good. And so that's it. Great question.
Thank you. And I just wanted to add that story about Adi Shankara ji. I think it's also only said by one person. I've read 2 or 3 biographies of Adi Shankara ji, and that story is not mentioned at all. So, you know, we always have to be very careful where we get our sources from, especially the stories of saints and their lives, because they should be, especially of that time, because history is not written in the same way as it's done in the West as it's done in the East. It's very different. So yeah, we just have to be a bit mindful of that. I've never come across that story before.
I do want to kind of touch on what Liam and Ramamand said about Lord Shiva. I know they were just using that as touch points to explain, as well as Nimai was also saying as well. But I would say that this is a misnomer, mainly because it is something that is used from a place of, or lack of knowledge of Lord Shiva, is pertaining him as being solely a deva of destruction. You have Sadashiva, which is the 5 faces of Sadashiva, right? And one of them is creation. Of course, one of them is, you know, destruction, and another is maintaining, and another is like pulling out of delusion, and another one is liberation, right? But I would say that this is something that I'm well aware that a lot of people are not aware of, is that classifying him as specifically like personification of destruction and you know, tapas, right? And there's a lot of demonization of Lord Shiva as well, where there is the aspect of like, he's the deva of all evil, and in reality, he's the destroyer of that, not the, he is not the, you know, aksharas. He's not the you know, he's not a demon lord or something, you know, and that's where I think there's a lot of misrepresentation of Lord Shiva and the association of destruction with evil, or the association with him being just about destruction, you know, because there is Parama Shiva, which in the Shaivite tradition, which is, you know, being the ultimate, just like in, you know, Vaishnavite, you'd have Vishnu being the ultimate, or etc., right? So I think this is something I just wanted to bring up, because I'm not sure many people were or are aware of that aspect, or those aspects of Lord Shiva.
I think that's a really important point, that there's been history between the Vaishnavites and the Shaivites, and especially many Vaishnavites in history demonizing Shiva, but Shiva is certainly one with the very same source that Krishna represents, and Srila Prabhupada famously said that you could chant Om Namah Shivaya instead of the Maha Mantra, but if you chant it with the same reverence and you understand that being to be the supreme being the same way that Krishna is, then your liberation is attained just the same. And as you mentioned, the 5 powers of Shiva include not just destruction, but maintenance and creation, but as well as the ability to realize oneself and hide one's true identity. But the destruction aspect is I think famously mistranslated. It's rather a dissolution, you know, because if whatever has that place, that ability to dissolve the entire existence, well, that is the very oblivion, the lap of creation as well, that which things arise from, persist through, but in this context, return to the same process, but just done in reverse. And whatever has the capacity to do any of these 2 things also has the capacity to do the third. But Shiva just is a personification of the oblivion from which all things arise from, persist through, and return to in this aspect.
Okay, in just 10 seconds, I'll just say, Rahul Prabhu, what you said about the story of Adi Shankaracharya, you're right, you're correct. I had also heard that, and I never double checked where it was found in the scripture. So it's very much probable that this was invented. So I'm just saying that you're 100% on this. And I just want to say also that actually Srila Prabhupada never mentioned that if you chant Om Namo Shivaya, you'll attain the same thing as Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He never said like that. But he did say that if you worship Lord Shiva properly, you are also advancing spiritually. Now, what this properly means, that will have to be maybe on another discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we are reaching the 2-hour mark, and we have 4 more questions. Maybe we'll do a part 2 to this, so we can, because it's already been 2 hours, and I think we've had a great discussion. If there's any, what we can do is, if anyone has any concluding remarks, if they can do that for a couple of minutes, just 1 or 2 minutes. And just before we do that, I want to give a huge shout out to Sky Guardian or Vinayji, who has arranged all this. You know, he's really great, and he does a lot of seva in getting people together, and I think that's wonderful. So just a huge shout out and a lot of love to him. So yes, we'll start like we did before with the questions. So Shivaji, if you can start.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone, for this lovely discussion. I enjoyed this very much, and I learned a lot. Something I want to share with from personal experience is that if you chant Om Namah Shivaya, your life is going to get destroyed. Things are going to start falling apart around you very quickly and very fast, and that's very conducive for spiritual growth. So may that happen. If you wish for that to happen, chant Om Namah Shivaya and see what happens. And yes, that's it. Thank you very much, Rahul, for inviting me to the show. I look forward to part 2. If you want to know more about me, my YouTube channel is Shiva Kailash Shambho. Find me there.
Thank you. Before we go to Brahmananji, yeah, everyone's channel will be in the video description after the when I upload this onto YouTube tomorrow. But yeah, everyone's channel will be there. Brahmananji.
YouTube and TikTok, or just YouTube?
Whatever. Well, YouTube, because I think it's easier for them to link onto that. But if you have only TikTok, I can do TikTok too. That's no problem.
I do have YouTube, but I haven't done videos on it, like 1 or 2. But so I'd highly recommend the TikTok route.
Sure. Brahmananji.
So I'm just going to elaborate on what he just said. I would say, come and check all of us out in our respective little spheres. Thank you for hosting this, Rahul. Your questions, it's been great. And thank you to all of you gentlemen for being a part of this. And I have no words of my own. I was expecting to sit here for another few hours, but I want to quote something that was said earlier by Liam. You said, don't worry about liberation. And I just thought that was a really great thing. So for all of those of you listening, I'm just going to say, don't worry about it. If you want something to happen, it will. All of us here in our own way are your cheerleaders for spiritual growth, and your cheerleaders and teachers, if you want to see us like that. We're all here to help you and to help each other. And so I would say, check us out and reach out. And just a huge thank you to everybody. Om Namo Narayanaya.
Thank you, Brahmananji. Nimaiji.
So, so thank you first of all for having us on the just to summarize a bit the Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning, Arjuna was confused. He could understand that he was suffering. And then he surrendered to Krishna in 2.7, he said, okay, I'm confused. I don't know what's my duty. Please instruct me. Then Krishna spoke of different path, karma yoga, jnana yoga, in this way. And he said that this material world is a place of misery. 8.16, Abrahma bhuvanal loka, punaravartino juna, mamu pete tu konteya punar janma navidyate. That this place, from the highest planet down to the lowest, all are places of misery. Why? Because repetition of birth and death takes place. So I think that one who's intelligent will want to get free from this cycle of birth and death, because we can see there's suffering all around us. And even if I'm not suffering that much, well, you're not going to be able to keep your position anyway. Old age is going to kick in, and then death's going to come. And what's going to happen? 8.6 Bhagavad Gita, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tam tam ate karevaram tam tam evaiti kuntaya sadatat bhava bhavita. We have to take a body according to the state of our mind. Rajaguna, Tamaguna, who knows? We can become animal. So that is dangerous. And therefore, the Lord, at the very end of Bhagavad Gita, 1866, he gives his final instruction. He says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So there are so many different types of dharman in Vedic literature, karma yoga, jnana yoga, karma kanda, all of these things. But he says, sarva dharman parityaja, just give up all of this. Mamekam sharanam vraja, just surrender to me. This line here, you will never find anyone else who has spoken that. It is not there in the Shastra. This demigod or that or this deity, nobody has said. Krishna says, Ma mekam sharanam vraja. Ahan vam sarva papebhyo. I will take away all your sins. Moksha ishami ma shuchaha. Do not worry. So abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So if I want to be a genuine representative of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, I have to speak on the authority of what Bhagavad Gita is. So I was just a peon, I was just a messenger, and I hope that those who are intelligent will take the message. Thank you very much for having me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Liamji.
Oh, I'm so thankful to be here. So grateful to be among so many wonderful guests. And my salutations goes out to Vinay ji, who organized this for all of us. And I also wanted to take accountability for that comment by the yogini, Himalayan yogini, about your guru could be an alcoholic. I think Nimai is very right. It's a dangerous thing to say. So I would like to clarify that. I think the most important aspect of that is that we let go of fault finding. That if we go about fault finding, then we'll never attain satsang. That's literally the definition of kusang, associating with the faults of others. But satsang mean we look primarily for their virtues, and we can learn from that. And if we look for the virtues in everyone, then that is something that allows us to learn from everyone. And Vinay ji's guru, Swami Tadatmananda ji, said that on the point of having such a qualified guru, you don't have to know the scriptures, but that only makes you a mystic. To be a guru and not just a mystic, you also have to know the scriptures. And I think that's an important point. But yes, I'm very honored to be here. Om Brahm Bhairavaya Namo Namaha. Jai Swaminarayan and Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Edwin ji.
I also wanted to address Shiva Shambho. I understand where he was coming on about chanting Om Namah Shivaya. But at the same time, I also feel that itself, by saying it and labeling it as your life will fall apart, can itself be dangerous if not given proper context and explanation to those who are doing it. Because it's much more than your life will fall apart, because that itself is a misconception, because what it's doing is you're actually shedding your old patterns and making way for new growth. But if you say your life is falling apart, that puts people into a fear pattern rather than them wanting to go deeper into understanding what it truly means. So, and of course you've got the connection with Lord Shiva when you're chanting it, and the boons and that you get both physically, emotionally, and spiritually from that connection when chanting it as well. And I could go on and on, but I just wanted to address that really quickly. And then I'm also very honored to be here. You know, as an initiated Shaiva, I very blessed to be able to be here with others of different sampradayas, representing and honoring Sanatana Dharma, in giving, enriching, and doing seva, and providing jnana for everybody watching, everybody here and everybody watching, and allowing us having this discourse to bring a level of deepening and deeper cognitions to those who are seeking within Sanatana Dharma and outside of it. And so again, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Ham Hawam Paramashivaya Namaha. You know, Namaste, everybody. Namaste in Nithyananda.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Edwin Ji. Thank you, everybody, for coming on here, sharing your words of wisdom. It was very insightful. I learned a lot, and the main thing that I gathered from here was, although we may have differing opinions somewhat, but in the end, we are all talking about achieving the same thing, which is about liberation or freedom or happiness, whatever, or peace. And what I've learned mainly here is the importance of respecting other people's lineages, especially in traditions. In today's day and age, people love to divide and be divisive and be like, my way is the better way. Although I believe, whichever talks about the truth, that path will always glorify itself. It doesn't need anyone to speak for it. It speaks for itself. And so I pray that everyone that's listened today, has gained something from each one of the guests, and do join us again. Thank you for attending. I will put everyone's YouTube channel or TikTok channel or whatever you feel on the video description, and look out for part 2. And just want to say
Yes.
thank you and namaste.
So yes, thank you very much. Just little last point is that, of course, it's true that we have to respect other people and all. That's a fact, but discrimination has to be there. Otherwise, what is the point of the scriptures? The scriptures are there just to help us discriminate properly. So discrimination is not always bad. Liam Ji said we should not find fault. That's true if there's no purpose, but finding fault with purpose, that is good. Just like when the COVID happened, whatever that COVID was anyway, if someone was infected, then I say, okay, that person is infected, I should not go close. So that's discrimination. That's saying this person is now sick. But it's not saying that I hate this person. It's just to protect myself, right? So therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, 16:24, he says, one should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. So discrimination is there. It has to be there because intelligent means knowing what is good, what is bad. So as long as it's done in a respectful manner, and as long as it's done under the guidance of bona fide spiritual masters and authority. So thank you very much.
Agreed. Vivek is very necessary. In fact, I'll end with this, that there's in Punjabi, it's been satsang vivek na hoy, that without the company of the saints and sages, there is no discernment. And I'll include the scriptures in that as well.
And that, yes, because how to know who is a saint? You have to go through Shastra.
Yes.
So Shastra is the basis. You see, you were asking like, who is Guru? Then, therefore, we've shown some verses. Now, anybody can see those verses. He doesn't have to have a Guru. He can see those verses. And now, then, okay, he's got discrimination. Then, okay, I can choose who is the real Guru. So he has to study first. Without studying, how you will know? You want to go buy some strawberry, you need to know what strawberry look like in the first place, right? You need some preliminary knowledge.
Yeah.
Correct. And the Shastra Pramanas would provide that.
Yes, that's it.
So thank you. Namaste to everybody.